Okay, there's nothing wrong with feeling these desires and having these desires. I mean, we're human, it's biological, it's bound to happen. Hey guys, welcome back, and hi to any new viewers. I'm God's daughter, and this is God's Daughter Ministries. Thanks so much for clicking on the video. If you'd like to see more of me and more of what I do, go ahead, subscribe, check out my other videos, and you can go check out my other social media pages. So, today we'll be talking about dating and fornication as Christians. Dictionary definition of fornication is sexual intercourse between two people who are not married to each other. That is, two unmarried individuals or an unmarried individual and someone who is married. As long as you guys are not married to one another, it's fornication. It's also extramarital sex, which is sex before marriage, and it's any sexual activity that is done outside of marriage. That includes masturbation, dry humping, inappropriate touching, any activity that is a result of you trying to satisfy a desire that should only be satisfied in marriage. So as I said, masturbation, dry humping, any form of inappropriate touching, certain forms of physical intimacy, these all fall under the category of fornication, and they also fall underneath the category of sex. I know that a lot of people don't consider these things as the actual physical activity of sex, but sex is spiritual. It's a spiritual act, and any activity that you do where your spirits are interacting in that manner and that intensity is considered sex. Sex is spiritual. It is spiritual. It's not just a matter of physical connection, but your spirits are undergoing a certain process of connectivity. So sexual intercourse, sexual activities is not just limited to what we know as sex in today's world. Masturbation is sex. As much as you're doing it by yourself, it's still sex because it's a spiritual activity. Dry humping is sex. Sure, you're not touching parts, you're fully clothed, but your spirits are being engaged in that activity. Like, you are bringing up the desires that accompany sex. So even if it's not sex, the fact that you have brought up these desires, you are engaging in that activity. There's a reason why they keep telling us to not have sex before marriage. Sex was created for marriage. It was created for two people who have made the decision to remain committed to one another and spend the rest of their lives together. It is something that God created so that two individuals can be one and serve Him in unity. Sex is a consummation of marriage. It is a symbol of commitment. It says that I want all of you, body, mind, soul, spirit, all of you. And unless you are ready for that commitment, do not fall into it. Do not enter into it. Okay. When it comes to Christians and dating, for us, I watched a sermon by Pastor Ben Stewart talking about dating, and he was talking about how dating is not a status that we sit in, it's a process of evaluation. So dating is a matter of I like you, you like me, okay, let's spend some time together, get to know one another, and from there you start to see whether or not this person is right for you, whether or not you guys are heading into the same direction, you are working towards the same goal, and stuff like that. And it's not just a status symbol that, okay, I have a boyfriend, yay. For Christians, it's different because you can't just fall into it. As a Christian, you have a calling on your life, and you need to ensure that you are sharing your life with someone who complements that calling, who complements your giftings, and who is running in the same direction that you are and chasing after the same goals that you are. And as a Christian, you shouldn't date someone who doesn't share your faith. You shouldn't date someone who doesn't share your stance on certain issues, such as extramarital sex and sex before marriage and physical intimacy and all that stuff. From the very get-go, you need to like state that this is what I stand for, this is what I'm believing in, this is what I want, this is what I'm not gonna do. And if they don't agree with that, goodbye. Set boundaries, and these boundaries need to be set from the very beginning, because what you allow in the beginning is what is gonna carry on, is what is gonna continue. It's like the saying that I saw about how if you're doing it now in dating, and if they're doing it now while you're dating, they're gonna do it in marriage. Marriage is not gonna change anything. If they're fornicating right now, if they are leading you towards committing some form of sexual sin right now, what's to stop them from going on and doing that to someone else when you're married? So y'all need to, from the beginning, set boundaries, check where you guys would stand in terms of physical intimacy and all of that, because I know that there are people when they're dating, they set boundaries. Their boundaries is like they can't touch, there's no kissing, no hugging, no stuff like that. They just wanna, just form an emotional bond, psychological bond, and not be physical in the relationship. For some people, they can hold hands, but they won't do so and so. They can hug, but they can't do so and so. And don't put yourself in an environment where you know that if we find ourselves there, so and so is gonna happen. So if you know that there's something, in terms of boundaries, if you know that there's something that triggers these emotions within you, these desires within you, talk to the other person and let them know, like, hey, okay, I feel like when we do this and this, it just triggers something in me, and I don't like that feeling right now because we're not married and stuff, so can we stop doing it? If they agree with you, y'all continue with dating. But if they're having issues with it, you need to evaluate whether or not you should be with this person. So a quote by C.S. Lewis says, "The Christian attitude does not mean that there is anything wrong about sexual pleasure any more than about the pleasure of eating. It means that you must not isolate that pleasure and try to get it by yourself any more than you ought to get the pleasure of taste without swallowing and digesting, by chewing things and spitting them out again." Basically, what the quote is saying is that, there's nothing wrong with feeling these desires and having these desires. I mean, we're human, it's biological, it's bound to happen. God created us that way. He created us with these type of desires and these type of emotions. It's just up to us to keep them in check and not give into them in the wrong context. Sex was meant for marriage, so we shouldn't go out seeking to satisfy that pleasure in the quickest way possible. Just like how he kind of uses eating as an analogy. When we eat, we put the food in our mouths, we chew, we swallow. But and that's how we see marriage. That's how we see dating to marriage to sex. We date, we get engaged, we get married, then we consummate the marriage. When we consummate the marriage, we become one. Just like how when we swallow food, our food gets digested and we get the necessary nutrients within our body. When we get married, we have sex, we consummate the marriage, and our spirits become one. So that we both get what we need from the other person to carry on God's ministry through the marriage. And now, when we go out and we seek to satisfy these desires outside of the correct context, just like eating, it means that you take the food, you put it in your mouth, you swallow it whole. That can be very dangerous because you could choke, or something could happen. Something could happen. You may not get what it is that you need and stuff like that. It's the same with dating. If you date and then you have sex within the dating, you won't get anything nutritious, you won't get anything that you need it just may be destructive to your body. It may be destructive to you. Yeah. Be careful. Be very careful. Just don't find yourself in a situation that will kind of amplify those desires and make it feel like it's okay to enter into any form of activity in that manner. And if you guys are dating and you've already fallen into, if you guys have already fallen into fornication and done all that stuff, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. You guys can start over. You sit together and you make the decision that, you know what we did was wrong, and we need to right this wrong. Go to God, ask for forgiveness, and y'all start over and start setting your boundaries. Y'all can speak together and talk about it, and like one by one you can say, okay, when we do this and this, I feel this and this. I'd appreciate it if we wouldn't do it as much, or if we wouldn't do it at all. Y'all talk about it, set your boundaries, draw the line, and then take it from there. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was helpful and that you enjoyed it. If you did, or hey, just go ahead and subscribe as well. And if you have any feedback, suggestions, questions, queries, whatever's on your mind, do not hesitate to message me on any of my social media platforms, or you can comment down below or email me. See y'all guys next time.